A 26-year-old woman and her boyfriend were shot near the parking lot of a Home Depot on Saturday. The woman remains in critical condition. Her boyfriend also still in the hospital, but he was well enough to talk to Eyewitness News reporter Crystal Cranmore.
She joins us now from Bed-Stuy with the very latest. Crystal.
Good afternoon, Liz and Joe. Well, surveillance cameras captured the shooting. Now, in this video, you see the gunman standing in the corner here. This is Willoughby and Sanford Street. He's standing on the corner, just waiting for families to walk by. And then he crosses the street and opens fire on the couple parked just across the street outside the Home Depot.
A parking space. That's all this started with. Two strangers in a Brooklyn parking lot arguing over who should move their car. 5 minutes later, there were gunshots. A young woman named Imani Sharpless was sitting in the passenger seat when bullets tore through the car. She was only 26 years old. And the man police say pulled the trigger? He did not know her. Make it make sense. Because what happened that afternoon was not some long-running feud or personal conflict. It was a random moment between strangers that turned deadly in the span of minutes. Imani Sharpless was 26 years old on September 9th, 2023. She was still in the process of building the life she wanted. She lived in Brooklyn, in the Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood, sharing a home with her grandmother. It was the kind of living arrangement that kept family close and support nearby. During the day, Imani worked as a teacher's aide in an after-school program at a Brownsville elementary school. The people who worked alongside her remembered her for something simple but important. She truly enjoyed being around the kids. Working with children requires patience and energy, and Imani gave both without hesitation. The job may not have made headlines, but to the children she worked with, she mattered. But that was only one part of who she was. Outside of work, Imani was chasing creative dreams. She had ambitions in music and modeling, and she spent her evenings and weekends building those skills. She took classes, she recorded music, she practiced performing. Her mother, Imani Sharpless, believed deeply in her daughter's talent. She often shared videos of Imani singing with coworkers and friends, proud of the path her daughter was trying to carve out for herself. Later, when the world began asking who Imani was, Alvera described her daughter in words that captured her personality in a way statistics never could. I want people to know how beautiful she was and talented and gentle and soft. Those words mattered because the people who knew Imani consistently described her the same way. Calm, kind, not someone looking for arguments or trouble. She preferred creative spaces, music, performance, being around people who were building something positive. And she also had someone important beside her, her boyfriend, Cordell McDuffie. Cordell was in his mid-30s, several years older than Imani. Their relationship had grown serious. They were not just dating casually. They were planning a future together. The couple had been working on an apartment they planned to move into, fixing things, preparing a space they would soon share. It was the kind of quiet planning couples do when they are serious about building a life. Painting walls, cleaning rooms, talking about what the future might look like. Nothing dramatic. Just two people trying to move forward together. On the afternoon of September 9th, the couple went out to run errands like any other weekend day. They drove to a Home Depot located at 230 Nostrand Avenue in Brooklyn. The store sits in Bedford-Stuyvesant in a busy area where parking spaces can be limited and drivers often compete for spots in crowded lots. Anyone who has driven in a major city knows how small frustrations can build quickly in places like that. Cars circling, drivers waiting, people trying to squeeze into tight spaces. But what happened that afternoon would go far beyond the kind of brief parking lot frustration most people forget about minutes later. Because inside that same parking lot was another man, 58-year-old Quincy James Davis. Davis had originally taken a parking space and briefly entered the Home Depot store. At some point during that time, the positions of several vehicles in the lot shifted. And when he came back outside, a small traffic situation had formed around that space. Cordell McDuffie had pulled his car slightly forward toward the entrance area. Another driver had positioned their car behind him. For a moment, the vehicles were stuck in a short standstill. Davis needed Cordell to back up, but Cordell did not immediately realize he was blocking the path. According to Cordell's later account, he briefly tapped his horn. Just a quick signal, but that small moment triggered a verbal exchange between the two men. Words were traded, nothing physical, just frustration. Anyone who has ever been in a crowded parking lot has seen this kind of moment before. Two drivers annoyed, both believing the other person is in the wrong place. But Cordell made a decision that should have ended the situation right there. He moved. He gave up the parking spot. He pulled out of the way completely. From his perspective, the disagreement was over. And once he drove away with Imani in the passenger seat, the couple likely believed the encounter had ended like hundreds of other minor, arguments people experience every day. But it had not, because somewhere behind them, the man from that argument was still there, and within minutes, the situation would escalate in a way neither Imani nor Cordell could have predicted. After leaving the Home Depot parking lot, Cordell and Imani drove away in their Hyundai Sonata. For them, the disagreement over the parking space was already over. They had moved on. That is how moments like that usually end. A few sharp words. Someone drives off. Everyone continues their day. But according to investigators, the man from that parking dispute did not let it go. Approximately 5 minutes after the initial confrontation, Cordell and Imani were driving near the intersection of Willoughby Avenue and Nostrand Avenue. Then something unexpected happened. The same man from the parking lot approached their vehicle. What followed happened quickly. Multiple gunshots were fired directly into the car. The violence of that moment stunned witnesses nearby. Gunfire in the middle of the afternoon sent people running for cover. Inside the car, the situation was immediate and catastrophic. Imani Sharpless had been shot in the head. Cordell McDuffie had also been hit by gunfire, suffering wounds to his leg and his back. Even while injured, Cordell's first reaction was not about himself. His focus was entirely on Imani. He drove the car a short distance before stopping near a pharmacy along the street. Witnesses later described seeing him step out of the vehicle in a state of panic. He was on the phone with emergency services, shouting for help. In that moment, his concern was entirely for the woman beside him. Witnesses heard him repeating the same words over and over. Somebody shot his girl. Somebody shot his girl. At first, he did not even mention that he had been wounded himself. The shock of the moment had narrowed his focus completely. People nearby quickly realized the seriousness of the situation, and emergency calls flooded into dispatch. Police and medical responders arrived at the scene within minutes. The intersection quickly filled with flashing lights and emergency personnel trying to stabilize the victims. Cordell was transported to the hospital with serious injuries. Doctors would later determine that while his wounds were painful and dangerous, they were not life-threatening. He would survive. Imani's condition was far more critical. She was rushed to Kings County Hospital with a severe head injury. Doctors worked urgently to stabilize her. Family members soon gathered at the hospital, hoping for any sign that she might recover. For 5 days, Imani remained alive in critical condition. Those days were filled with uncertainty and prayer for the people who loved her. They waited, hoping for improvement, hoping she would wake up. But on September 14th, 2023, 5 days after the shooting, Imani Sharpless died from her injuries. She was 26 years old, and the chain of events that led to her death had begun with a disagreement over a parking space. News of the shooting spread quickly through the Bedford-Stuyvesant community. Neighbors struggled to understand how something so small had turned into something irreversible. For Cordell McDuffie, the trauma did not end at the hospital. He had lived through the shooting. He had witnessed the moment the woman he loved was critically injured, and now he had to face the reality that she was gone.
Police say each bullet hole in this car is the result of road rage. One bullet hit a 26-year-old model in her head. She's now here at Kings County Hospital fighting for her life. Her boyfriend was also hit. He's expected to be okay.
Always a bright spirit, always, had a smile on her face. So it really is sad.
Pix 11 News spoke with a neighbor and friend of the model. She did not want her face on camera, but is very concerned over what happened.
And just to think that just from a senseless parking spot that, someone who had so much, has so much to live for could, be in danger.
It was around noon Saturday. Apparently the model and her boyfriend got into a dispute with a man over a parking spot in this Home Depot parking lot in Bedford-Stuyvesant. At some point, things took a violent turn. Police say the man fired several shots into the couple's car while they tried to get away. After being shot, the boyfriend stopped the car here on Myrtle Avenue and called 911. This man saw the victims in bad shape.
I saw her in the car and, she laying there. It's sad the way she was laying there, blood in her head and blood on the side of the door and everything.
The family of that 26-year-old model is here at Kings County Hospital at her bedside praying for a miracle. In the meantime, police need your help finding the man. He was last seen wearing a red hat, a white T-shirt, black jeans. If you have any information, call Crime Stoppers. The number's 800-577-TIP.
When a homicide occurs in New York City, investigators move quickly to secure evidence and identify suspects. In this case, detectives from the New York Police Department began collecting information almost immediately. Witnesses who had been in the area described the shooter as a man with a dark complexion, approximately 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighing around 160 pounds. He had been wearing a red hat, a white shirt, and black jeans. But witness descriptions were only one part of the investigation. Detectives also began searching the area for physical evidence. Within a short time, they recovered several key items. The firearm believed to have been used in the shooting was discovered inside a nearby dumpster. Along with the weapon, investigators also located discarded clothing matching the suspect description. Another crucial piece of evidence had been left behind as well: a Mercedes-Benz vehicle abandoned near the scene, vehicle registration records allowed. Investigators to trace that car to a man named Quincy James Davis. Davis was 58 years old and originally from Gwynn Oak, Maryland. He also had a criminal history that included previous convictions related to robbery and weapons possession. Surveillance cameras from the Home Depot parking lot and nearby streets provided additional information about the events leading up to the shooting. Combined with witness statements and physical evidence, detectives were able to piece together the sequence of events. 17 days after the shooting, on September 26, 2023, Quincy James Davis was arrested. Authorities charged him with multiple offenses, including second-degree murder, attempted murder, first-degree assault, and second-degree criminal possession of a weapon. If convicted on the most serious charge, he could face a sentence of 25 years to life in prison. While searching Davis's abandoned vehicle, investigators also discovered an unusual item inside the car: a Pennywise clown mask. Officials never provided an explanation for why it was there, and it remains one of the stranger details associated with the case. But the most unexpected development came months later. Imani's mother, Imani Sharpless, received a phone call from Davis while he was being held in jail. During that call, something unusual happened. The two of them prayed together. Over time, they continued speaking by phone. For many people, the idea of a mother communicating with the man accused of killing her daughter is difficult to understand. But Alvera explained her reasoning in simple terms. I could not allow this to kill me as well. Her decision was not about excusing what had happened. It was about refusing to let anger consume her life. Meanwhile, the legal case moved slowly through the New York court system. In October 2023, Davis was formally indicted by a grand jury. He was held without bail. Months passed as attorneys worked through the discovery phase of this case. By January 2024, there had been no major updates. Then in July 2025, nearly 2 years after Imani's death, a judge postponed setting a trial date until sometime in fall 2025. For Imani's family, the delay meant continued uncertainty. Justice had not yet arrived. Imani Sharpless was buried on September 23, 2023 at New Frontier Baptist Church in Brooklyn. Friends, family, and community members gathered to remember a young woman whose life had been defined by kindness and creativity. Cordell McDuffie, still carrying the physical and emotional scars of that day, spoke openly about the pain of losing the person he had planned to spend his future with.
Cordell McDuffie is a survivor, but most days says it feels like he's living in hell after watching the love of his life murdered.
I have not been the same. I have cried every single day since this has happened.
That day was September 9th. McDuffie recalls a non-aggressive encounter with a fellow driver at a Brooklyn Home Depot parking lot. His girlfriend, Imani Sharpless, alongside him.
We exchanged words, and I moved out the way.
My girl and I had no expectation of being ambushed.
5 minutes later, the 36-year-old's life changed forever.
I felt bullets hitting me. You get what I'm saying? But it just was too fast. When I looked up, I seen the same guy. I really don't recall the extent of my pain or anything else. I was more focused on my girlfriend.
Me having to relive that moment and knowing that she won't be here to live with me anymore, that hurts the worst.
McDuffie was shot in the head, the leg, and the back. Sharpless died 5 days later, a date on the calendar already marred by sadness for McDuffie.
She died the same day as my father.
The dad of 2 boys is getting physical and mental therapy and is working to ensure the suspected gunman, 58-year-old Quincy Davis, goes to prison for life.
Me having to relive that moment and knowing that she won't be here to live with me anymore, that hurts the worst. Today, the case remains unresolved in court. The evidence has been collected, the suspect has been charged, but the final chapter has not yet been written. And the question that continues to echo through this story remains painfully simple. How did an argument over a parking space end with a life taken? Thank you for watching this episode of Gridline Crimes. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new case. Your support helps us continue bringing you real crime stories, detailed investigations, and gripping cases from around the world. Let me know your thoughts about this case in the comments below. And remember, the truth always leaves a trail. See you in the next episode of Gridline Crimes.